Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Lori Rubin, and I'm here with Solli. She is one of our ambassadors, DxO ambassadors, and she does fantastic, absolutely beautiful food photography. So this is a real treat for you to see how she actually creates these beautiful images, these styles that she comes up with in creating recipes in Color Efex Pro. So we're really happy to have her presenting today. And thanks so much again for joining us today. Solli, I'll go ahead and let you get started.
Perfect, thank you. I'll just turn on my webcam. Let's see. I hope that you all can see me.
We can see you.
Okay, perfect. So good evening or good morning, depending on where you are located in the world. Welcome to this webinar, and thank you, Lori, for this lovely introduction of me. So my name is Solli, for those who just arrived, and this evening I will be sharing my favorite recipes and filters, and I'll also be teaching you how you can create your own recipes. And I also wanted to thank our host of this evening, DxO. It's thanks to them that we are here this evening. And I think we can start because most of the people are online now. I'll remove my webcam and we will be click here. Perfect. So I hope you can see my screen. Perfect. So my name is Solli Kanani. For those who don't know me, I'm from Sweden, but I'm based in Paris in France since almost 10 years. This means that I'm not a native English speaker, so if there is any awkward pause, don't worry. It just means that I'm trying to find the correct word in English. So in Paris is also the city where my interest for photography grew and where I started to work professionally as a photographer. And food photography is my main occupation. Today, I work both with brands, restaurants, and hotels, capturing plates of Michelin-starred and award-winning chefs. And I was also shortlisted in the prestigious Pink Lady Food Photographer of the year 2020 and 2021. With these are some of the pictures that I was shortlisted with. And I'm also a Nikon-partner and an Extractor photo Colorati and BenQ AQ color expert. You can follow me on Instagram. I have two Instagram accounts. So on Solli_K, I have my landscape photos, and here on Solli_food, I have all my food photographies. And I also have a YouTube channel devoted for food photography where I teach some tips, and I also have some tutorials. You can find the link here on the Linktree page. And just to give you an idea of the type of food photos that I take, here is a selection of my work. So you can see it's both dark and moody. I love macro shots, but also very high-key style images, so very light and airy like these. As I mentioned earlier tonight, we will be looking into how you can use filters and recipes in Color Efex to enhance your food photos. And to give you an overview of what I will cover, I have put together an agenda that I think we can have a look at now before starting. If you're not familiar with Color Efex, don't worry. I will quickly go through its interface now in the beginning. And then I will be sharing my favorite filters and recipes with you, and also which ones of them to use in order to enhance color, details, and light. And in the end, I will show how you can create and save a recipe. So this will take almost around 40 to 45 minutes, and we will wrap up with a Q&A in the end. So if you have any questions, you can just drop the comments in the chat box. The webinar is recorded, so you will all receive a link with a replay. So let's begin. I think I will open Color Efex so we can all see the interface. So just hang on. I will just close this and go straight to DxO Photolab. And here you can actually use Color Efex Pro either from DxO Photolab, Adobe Photoshop, and Lightroom as well. But I will be using Photolab today, and I believe that many of you are already familiar with Color Efex, but for those of you who are not, I will quickly explain what it is. I'll just open it here with this image so you can see. So here I'm selecting the plugin Color Efex Pro, and I have selected a raw image, and it will take a few seconds for it to open. And here we are. Perfect. I think I'll just use this. Okay, so Color Efex is a plugin that is included in Nik Collection, and it has 55 creative filters that you can find here under All. And it has more than 20 recipes that you can find here in this library. And this plugin is a gold mine if you want your images to pop out. And let's have a quick look on the interface if this is your first time. There are a few different ways on how you can view your image. So this is the single image view. You can find it here in the top bar. And if you want to have a split preview, you have the button just next to it. And this is good if you want to see the before and after. I use it when I'm finished with my picture, or if I'm working with a filter and want to see the effects, the changes of the effects compared to the original image. And there is also this side-by-side preview. So that's the button next to the split preview. So here you can see the two images side by side, the original and the after image. And here in the right top bar, you can also zoom in and zoom out on the image. So here I'm on 50%, but you can go up to 400 if you want to have a very close-up view, or if you want to zoom out. So I think I will stay on maybe 25, that's good. And another useful function is that you can actually change the background color. And you can do that by clicking on the small light bulb here. So if you click on this, you can change the colors. Now we change to black, and that's good if you're working with an image that is very bright. And you can change to white. So this is good if you're working with a dark image. And I think we also have the gray background color. And then we also have, actually here next to the light bulb, you can click on this button if you want to hide this adjustment panel. So if you click here, you have a full view over the image, and the same here in the left top bar. So you can, this is useful if you already have chosen the filter or recipes that you want to work with, and you're working with the adjusting the filters, then it's useful to just hide this panel so you can concentrate on the image itself. And what else? We have a button here, a help button in the bottom bar. And there you can find a user guide, FAQ, online support, and the DxO Academy. So that's good if you're new and want to find any tutorials or more information about the filters, recipes, or on how to work in Color Efex. Let's see if I covered. I think we covered everything. So Yes, I think I will close down the Color Efex and show what I do before. So DxO, okay, perfect. So before using the plugin, I prepare the raw file in DxO Photolab. And that's something that you also can do in Lightroom or Photoshop. But here I begin by clicking or activating the distortion, chromatic aberration, and the lens sharpness. And actually, that's all I do. And here, I think I have already prepared because I have cropped the image. So that's something I did before. But you can also rotate the image and do other adjustments. But usually, I only make sure to check the chromatic aberration and distortion. I think we will start with this berry picture that I have here, and I will rotate it, I think, like this, and I will open it in the plugin. So I click on Nik Collection here, and then I choose Color Efex Pro, and I'll overwrite the other file. So I'm waiting for the plugin to open, and here we are. I will maximize the window. Perfect. So here we are, and let's have a closer look on the different filters and recipes. So there are around 55 filters and over 20 recipes. I will not be able to present all of them this evening, but I thought sharing my favorites that I often use on my food photos. Let's have a look on the recipes. So the recipes are basically presets that consists of various filters. So you can see, for example, let's have a look on wildlife. So this recipe consists of two different filters. So the detail extractor and tonal contrast. And if you want to have a pre-made preset, then the recipe catalog is where you should head to. But if you rather setting up your own recipe, then you should simply go to the filters library. But you can also add a filter to a recipe by just clicking on Add Filter here. So there are many different ways to work with these filters and recipes. And I'll show some of my recipes this evening. One of them are, let's see, I can find them here in my favorites. One of them are is this Super Punch. I often use it when I have colorful images. And I thought we can be experimenting a little bit with this image that I have here, the berry image. So this recipe is based on the bleach bypass, contrast only, and pro contrast. So I think this image is a little bit too dark. So what I will do is I'm here under bleach bypass in this filter, and I will adjust the brightness slightly, not too much. So here I'm increasing the brightness. When it comes to color, I think I will increase the saturation a little bit. And I'm also increasing the contrast. And then I'm heading over to the contrast only filter. I think I'll activate the split preview so you can see live here the changes that I'm doing. So here in contrast only, I will increase the brightness slightly and also the contrast. And I think that we're good with the saturation. And here I think I will not do anything. So this is the before and this is the after. So you saw I didn't need it to adjust too much. So the recipe is almost ready to use. And I think I will add some more. I think I want to have some more texture here because this is a macro shot. So I really want the details in the image to pop out. So what I'll be doing is to add a filter and make sure not to be, if you want to add an additional filter, make sure that you're not in a filter and then that you're clicking on another filter, because then this filter will be replaced by the new one. So always make sure to click on Add Filter, and then you can add the specific filter that you want to have added. So here I'm going to add the Detail Extractor. And I'm just going to move this slider. And here I wanted to increase the texture. I will zoom in so we can better see the image and the details. So here I will increase it very little. So I'm increasing the Detail Extractor and also the contrasts. And I think that's all. So I don't want to make very big changes. I still want the image to look natural. So I think I'm happy with this, and I'm just going to show you the before and after so you can see the images next to each other. Let's see. 25%. So this is the before and this is the after. So you can see that I have opened up the shadows, increased the brightness. These berries are more visible and they are popping out with their vibrant colors. So this is an example of what you can do with the Super Punch recipe. And if you want, you just, whenever you are pleased with the result, you simply click on Save if you want to save your image. Or if you want to save the recipe, you can also click on the button Save Recipe. But I will just cancel this and head over to another image. Sorry. Okay, and I will be opening this blueberry image, and I'll be clicking on Nik Collection and open it in Color Efex Pro and overwrite my previous image. So this is another macro shot, and I will be using another recipe that is my favorite. So let's see if we can find it. I will maximize the window. So here I'll be using Color and Detail, and I'll just activate the split preview so we can see the before and after. So here I want to increase the set. So here we can see that the Color and Detail recipe is based on 3 different filters. It's based on the high key filter, Brilliance, Warmth, and Detail Extractor. So this is another recipe that is very useful on macro photos. So here I think I would like to, I think this is too bright. So what I will be starting with here is to decrease the dynamic high keys slightly, like this. And there is also a glow. I like that, but in a macro shot, I really don't want to have too much glow. I rather have more sharpness. So I'm decreasing the glow. And when it comes to the color, I will increase it a little bit. And then I'm heading over to Brilliance and Warmth. Here you can play with the warmth. So you can either make it more cold, or if you want to have a warmer image. And as these are blueberries and they're blue, I prefer to have them more, have the image more cold. So I'm decreasing this warm slider. So I think this is something that I would like to have, and the saturation I'm increasing a little bit. And then we have the detail extractor. So here I will increase it a little bit. I'll just zoom out so you can see the blueberries have a better close-up view. So here I will be increasing the detail extractor and also the contrast. I think the original image is too dark, but this is too bright, so I'm trying to find a balance between them. So I think this is something that I like better, and just to have a before and after. So here we can see that these small water drops are more defined, and the color is brighter, and we can see more of the texture and the details. For example, if you focus on this blueberry, you can see the difference. I will zoom in so you can see it better. So this is the before and this is the after. So you can really see the impact of this recipe. So this was another of my favorites. And if you're pleased with the image, you simply click on save. Otherwise, you click on cancel. Before that, I'll just show you another function. I'll just remove this. And if you want to decrease or increase the filter effect globally, you can simply doing it by dragging the opacity, this slider here. But if you want to add the filter effect on a certain area in your photo, you can use a control point. And you have a control point under every filter. So you can find it here and here and here. So for example, if you want to have this detail extractor effect on only one blueberry, then you add the control point. Let's add it to this blueberry, and to see what area the filter will affect, it will be the area that is white. So you can see that this area, this blueberry, will be affected with a filter, and you can change the size of the circle. So if you want to have a bigger area or a smaller area, you can choose that here. And then I uncheck this box. So you can see here, you can see the difference. I will zoom in so you can see it better. So let's see, this is the blueberry. So here you'll see the before. So you can see it's a bit blurry, it's not very sharp. And here you can see that the details are emphasized. So you can, if you want to have the filter effect on certain areas in your image, then I would recommend you to use the control point. So that was about it in this recipe, and I'll just cancel it. Let's have a look on the filters. I will open another image. I think I will open this image that I took just a few days ago. I'll open it in Color Efex. It will take a few seconds. And let's see, I will just maximize the window. Perfect. So let's have a look on my favorite filters. We are here in the filter library, and I think I forgot to mention it before. If you want to make a selection of your favorites, you simply need to click on the star next to the filter or the recipe here, and then they will automatically be selected here in favorites, so you can find them easily and you don't need to waste your time by going through all the recipes or filters. So now I will be, so here I have already marked my favorites and I can find them all here under favorites. So let's have a look on my favorite filters. So the first one that we will be looking on is the one called Glamour Glow. So this is a filter that will add or will give a more soft and dreamy effect. And here you can adjust the effect. So if you want to increase the glow, you simply use the top slider here. So you can see here, if you focus on this cake, you'll see that how the glow will increase or decrease. So I think that's a beautiful, it gives a beautiful dreamy effect to these type of pictures, and I use it quite often. I don't like to exaggerate, so I usually keep the glow very low. And you can also play with the saturation, so you can increase it, and you can also adjust the cold and warmth of the image. So here you can actually, if you think it's too warm, then you just adjust it's here on glow warmth. And another filter that I often use is the one called High Key, this one. And this filter, uniform light tones and low contrast. So you can see that it's immediately brighten up the image. I'll just show you the before and after. So here is before and this is the after. And if you think it's too bright, you can simply, I think here I would maybe increase the saturation a little bit, and I think I will also decrease the glow slightly. And otherwise, I think it's pretty good. I'm playing here with a standard high key. I'm increasing it a little bit and increasing the dynamic high key. So if you want to have a high key image, then the high key filter is the one to use. And another filter that I often use is the Brilliance and Warmth that we have here. And this filter provides control over the vibrancy of color within your photo, and it lets you make it cooler or warmer. So here we can see the before and after. So if I want to have a more cooler image, I simply adjust the warmth with the slider, and if I want to increase the saturation, I simply do it with a slider in the top of the filter. So here is the before and after. And another filter that I often use is the film grain. This one is, it adds realistic film grain to your images, and I often use it on my dark and moody and also my still life images, because I like to have this painting effect. So I usually add very, very little grain. I'll just zoom in so you can see the grains, the before and after, and you don't need to add a lot. I think I usually increase the grain per pixel so it will not be too visible. So adjusting the slider grain per pixel here, and the softness is something that you also can adjust, and the film contrast. So here, if you want to increase, you have this result, and if you increase it, you have this. So I think I'll just remain on something around between 30 and 40%. So that's another filter that I often use, and I'll just zoom out so you can see the before and after. But I rarely use the filters all by their own, so I often use them together with other filters, and that's something that we will be looking on this evening. And so let's see. The best way to get familiar with the filters is simply to click on all of them. You can find them here, and that way you'll have a better understanding on their effects, and the ones that would be useful for you and the images that you're working on. And I think I also mentioned that by clicking on the star, they will automatically be saved under your favorites as well. And in food photography, color, details, and light are very important. So I wanted to share some of the filters where you in particular can use to make adjustments to them. And let's begin with color. I'll quickly go through them. Let's see, we have them under favorites, contrast, color, range here. So with this filter, you'll have control over the contrast between selected colors within the image. So you can adjust the color here and increase and decrease it. And another filter that I use for the color is high key that I have already showed you. The high key, because you can also adjust the saturation there, and the brilliance and warmth, which provides control over the vibrancy of color within your photo. And that's something that I also showed you just a few minutes ago. So those three filters are the ones that I use when I want to adjust the color. And if I want to adjust the detail, then I use the detail extractor. And here you open up the shadows, and the highlights are darkened, and that way you bring out the details in your image. So these are the sliders that you can work with, and I'll be showing you how I work with this filter later. And for when it comes to lights, I also use the high key and also the bleach bypass, something that I didn't mention earlier, so we can have a look at it now. So here you can adjust the brightness and also the contrast of the image, but also the saturation. So this is one of the filters that I use for light. And there's also the darken, lighten, center here. Here you control their brightness either in the center of the image or on the edges of your photo. And this is something that you can choose here, the shape and also the border luminosity and the center luminosity. And you can also place the center. So that's another filter that I use when I want to work with the light. But now let's, for having a better understanding of the filters and recipes, I want to show you how you easily can create your recipe. And I thought that we would edit the one of these bun cakes. I'll just cancel this one. And I think we can start with this I think we can start with the rose cake. So I'll open this cake again and open it in Color Efex Pro and overwrite the previous image and just wait a few seconds for it to open. So I think this image looks very, let's see if it will open it. Okay, perfect. So I'm maximizing the window. So let's just have a look on the image without the filters. So this is the image. And to me, it looks pretty gray and dull. So before I start to work with an image, I try to analyze it and see what I want to improve with it. So here I want to increase the color, because we can see that I'm using pink and green, and they look very dull. So I want to increase the saturation and also the light, and also enhance the details and maybe add some glow to the image. So the first thing I do is to add the high key, because it's a very airy and light image. And I will use the before, this slider, so you can see the before and after. So here I think this is too dark and there's too much glow. So I will decrease the glow slightly to maybe 14%. And I think increasing the standard high key a little bit and the dynamic high key as well, just to open up the shadows here. And I'll also be increasing the saturation. And I think I will not do anything with the blacks and just going to let you see the overall image. This is the before and this is the after. And I think it's too much saturation, so I'll just decrease it slightly. And then I want to enhance the details of the cake. So I will add the detail extractor. So I'll add a new filter and the detail extractor. So I will zoom in a little bit so we can see what I'm doing, maybe 100%. And here I will increase it a little bit. And let's see, that's good. And I will decrease the contrast a little bit as well. And I think I'm pretty good with the saturation. I'm increasing it very little. And then I will also, let's see, I think let's see what I will do here. I think the glow is good. And I'm decreasing the standard key a little bit. I'm not sure about the background, if I want to, that we should see these gray spots or not, if I want to have a plain. I think I will change that a little bit and increase the glow. I think this is something that I had in mind. And then I will also add this filter, Brilliance and Warmth. So here I will just adjust the warmth slider and make it a little bit cooler. And I think that's it. So this is the result. And if I feel that this is a recipe that I would like to use on other images, then I simply save the recipe by clicking on the button here. And then I can name it. So, for example, high key, I'm just going to high key cake. And there we go. And then you'll be able to find it under custom recipes. I think we have some more time, so I will edit the another image, an image that is more dark and moody. I will cancel this one and go back to the DxO Photo Lab and look for the image, the carrot cake. So let's open this one. So I'm clicking on the Nik Collection and selecting Color Efex Pro 4 and overwrite. And the image will open up in a few seconds in Color Efex Pro. And here we are. Perfect. So here, let's do a quick analyze. I'll just remove the this filter. So this is a dark and moody photo, but I feel that it's a bit too dark. We can't see the cake. I want to open up the shadow so the cake will pop out. And I will also increase the saturation so we can see these orange carrots, and maybe I'll add some more, increase the details and structure. So that's what I want to do with this image. So I will start with darken, lighten, center, and I think I have it here. So here I will simply use the central luminosity, and you can see it's already here where I have the cake. I will increase it a little bit, and I can even add a control point here by clicking on the plus button there, and here I can control the area that I want to work with. So here you can see everything that is white is where the effect will be applied. So you can see that the entire cake is marked, and you can see here, and then you can adjust the opacity. So you can see, I will do it like this, so you can see the before and after. So you can see that now the carrot cake is more lightened, and we have opened up the shadows. And I think I'm pretty happy with this. Maybe I will add another control point here. Maybe there, and another here, because I feel it's still a bit too dark here. So you simply drag it until you see that the area that you want to have the effect on will be white. So something like this, perfect. And you can also add the remove, if you have other parts where you don't want the effect to be, you can just add a negative control point by, let's see, by clicking on this button with a minus sign. So here, for example, and then you can simply adjust the circle and also the opacity. But I think we are fine with this. I'm deleting that one. And let's see. So this is the before and after, and I'm quite happy with that. And I will add some Brilliance and Warmth filter. Let's do it by adding a new filter, and I'm clicking on Brilliance and Warmth. So here I'm using this filter to increase the saturation. So I'm adjusting the first slider and increasing it a little bit, so you can see that the orange color of the carrot cake and also the carrots are emphasized. So this is the before and after. And I can also play with the warmth. So I'm not sure if I want to have a cold or warm. I think I'll go with something that is a bit cold. So I'm decreasing the warmth, and I think this is something that I like. And then I also want to add some more details or increase the texture in this image. And so that I will be adding a new filter, and that is the detail extractor. There we go. And I think I only want to use it, let's see, on the overall image, and I'll just zoom in so I can see the effect or the difference better. So let's see, I will increase it a little bit like this. And you can see that there is also a beautiful effect on the backdrop that I'm using. So you can see that it brings up the wooden structure and also on the cake. So I've increased the detail extractor, and maybe I'll add a little bit of contrast. I'm increasing it. And when it comes to the saturation, I think we are good. I'm just decreasing it a little bit. Great, so I will zoom out and see to have a better overview of the image, maybe 25%. So this is the before image. It was quite dark, and I still wanted to keep the darkness and the moody ambience of the image, but not by lighting it up entirely. But I focus on the carrot cake. I think it's a bit too orange here. I think I will adjust it. I think that's the first. I think it was in this filter, in the brilliance and warmth. I think I'll just decrease it a little bit. So you can see it was a little bit too orange. So that's something that I want to have. Perfect. So I'm just going to show you the before. The before and after. So I think I'm happy with this image. Let's see, I'm going to 25. Yes, I think this is the result that I wanted to achieve. It still has this dark and moody feeling, but it's not too bright. The carrot cake is popping out, and that's the main subject in this image. So, and if it's like I said before, if it's a receipt that you think that you will use later, then you simply save it. And it's very useful to save the recipe if you have different or several shots from the same scene. So here, this is overhead, but maybe if I have a straight on or a close up, or other photos from different angles, then I use the same recipe on all of the images. And that way I also save time, because I don't need to edit every image on its own. So here I will name it too dark and moody. Dark and moody, carrots, cake. And then it's saved under the custom recipes. So I think that's it. I will cancel this. I will cancel the Photo Pro, and yeah, we have reached the end of the webinar, and I hope that you have learned something new. But before finishing, I know that there are some of you that have sent in some questions, so let's have a look on them. Let's see if I can open.
Okay, great. This has been fantastic. I hope that you folks are inspired, because I certainly am. This is great.
Thank you.
We have 4 questions that I'd like to ask you. Joyce is asking, do you ever go into Vivesa before using Color Efex?
If I'd ever go to?
go into Vivesa? Use Vivesa before?
Vivesa, not very often. Sometimes I do, but either I use Vivesa on its own after I've made some adjustments in Photolab, or I go to Color Efex. So I rarely combine them. But it's something that you can do if there is anything, if you want to have an effect from Vivesa and then continue to work on the image here.
Right. Okay, Brian is asking, do you focus stack your food images?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I know it's something that you can do in macro photography, but in the images that I have taken, I've never been focus stacking.
Okay. And then Jane wants to know, what type of macro lens do you use?
I'm using the 105mm from Nikon.
Yeah, it's a great lens.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite lenses. And I'm not only using it for macro shots, I also use it for still life images and and some dark and moody photos where I'm not very close to the subject. So you don't need to only take macro shots with it. So it's very versatile lens.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. Manfred wants to know, what kind of lighting do you use? Flashes, LED?
Yes. When I started with food photography, I was working with natural light, but then I was dependent on the sun. So in the end, I realized that I need to be more flexible. So I started with artificial light. So it's something that I have been working with the 2 past years. And so all these images have been taken with artificial light, and I used to modify the light with the softbox and reflectors. So for example, for this moody image, the carrot cake, I think you can see my screen here. So here I had the softbox with the light, because you can see the light is coming up from here. And then here I had a foam board, a black foam board, just to emphasize the shadow. So here I have only one light source, and then you can modify the light the way you want to. So
okay. I think we're going to squeeze in one more question from Robert. He's asking, you seem to prefer to increase color saturation and then decrease the warmth to a cooler effect. Is this your main preference for food specifically?
Yes, I'm not a big fan of warm images. So that's something that I do immediately on all my images. I decrease the warmth, and then I also work with the saturation. But as you can see here, I think in the original image, the original image was warmer, but I like to have a cooler effect and then increase the saturation so we can see. So the color of the vegetables or the fruits or the cake in this image will pop out.
Okay. All right. That's the last question for us today. So I'll let you go ahead and close out here. Final words of wisdom.
Okay, so sure. Let's see. I hope that this webinar has been useful for, I'll just open up my webcam so you can see me. Sorry, let's see. Okay, let's see where I have the webcam. Hang on. Here it is. Okay, so now you can see me. I hope that this webinar has been useful for you, and I'm just going to do it like this, and that you can experiment with the filters and the recipes that I've been showing you, and that you also will create your own recipes. And I'm looking forward to see your images. And if you have any more questions, you are free to contact me on my, you can send me a message on Instagram, and I'll be happy to reply to your questions. So thank you very much for coming, and thanks to DxO for organizing this webinar.
Great. Thanks everyone. Thanks, Solli. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.